Nobody in that room expected Eala to snap until she did. It happened fast, almost too fast to process. One moment, she was the calm rising star everyone knew, and the next, she was breaking the silence the WTA probably didn't want broken.
This is why there's so much excitement around Alexandra Eala.
And here's where the whole room froze. Alex, usually so measured and soft-spoken, suddenly let years of frustration spill out. Her voice trembled, not from fear, but from holding everything in for too long. Reporters stared, wide-eyed, unsure if they should even take notes. A routine post-match interview, the kind she'd done 100 times before, flipped into something else entirely. A moment you could feel shifting the air, something you knew would follow her career for a long time. But this didn't start today. This part honestly hurts to watch unfold. Behind the smiles, the interviews, and the trophies, there was a season slowly crushing her. Endless travel, back-to-back obligations, schedules changing without warning, barely any recovery time. Fans saw the highlights, her team saw the fatigue. And then came the weird decisions. Match times getting pushed back for no reason, practice courts reassigned last minute, and simple requests denied like they didn't matter. Little things stacking up, turning into something heavy. And here's the part that makes players whisper. Alex kept getting night matches followed by early morning obligations, an exhausting loop on top player wants. Guys in the locker room started asking, why is she being moved again? Nobody had answers. Nobody ever does. She kept her head down, tried to stay professional, but every quiet shift in her schedule felt like someone nudging her aside. These weren't loud problems, but they were real, and you can only swallow so much before something cracks. By the time she reached Eastbourne, you could see it. She was running on fumes. Her warm-ups looked heavier, like every movement required more effort than it should. Not frustration, not anger, just exhaustion mixed with a kind of resignation. She wasn't breaking down, she was worn down. Anyone watching closely would have noticed it. She wasn't just playing an opponent, she was playing against a system that kept taking small bites out of her focus, her energy, and her confidence. And then came the moment that snapped everything. A baseline shot, clean, obvious, in. Everyone saw it, the umpire didn't. And when Alex asked for the mark to be checked, she got shut down instantly. No review, no conversation, just a cold out. You could feel her frustration spike, her rhythm falling apart right after. From that point, the match unraveled fast. Straight sets, done. Not because she couldn't play, but because she'd finally hit the limit of what she could tolerate.
There's a lot of emotions, definitely. Happiness has to...
Everyone sensed something was off as Alex entered. Her jaw was firmly locked, as if she had been holding back a hurricane, and her eyes were still crimson. Then came the first line that shattered the room. I'm tired of being treated differently. WTA needs to explain this. Reporters froze. She followed with another hit. If the regulations apply to everyone, why not to me? No calling out, no anger. Just managed sincerity struck harder than wrath ever could. Within minutes, the clip was everywhere. Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, every corner of the internet is illuminated. Fans split immediately. Some were amazed she dared to say it, others hailed her bravery, and a smaller group brushed it off as disappointment following a defeat. Frame by frame, journalists replayed the film, noting every breath, every word, and every pause. What really rattled people, however, was how coolly she spoke. No theater. Simple truth given as a subtle punch. She didn't even hesitate when reporters sought to box her with the expected question, "Do you regret saying all that?" What I regret is remaining silent for so long. That one line turned the discussion upside down. Fans swamped her social media with encouragement, praising her boldness against the system. But analysts began to question professionalism, player behavior, media pressure. Everyone had a view. But Alex? She appeared lighter, as though someone had at last stopped bearing a weight not her own. Then the story took a twist. Anonymous tennis insiders began posting that favoritism wasn't just real, it was routine. And a leaked scheduling email made things explode. Prioritized higher draw interest. It didn't explicitly name players, but fans read between the lines immediately. To them, it meant one thing: big stars protected, rising players pushed around. Suddenly, Alex's comments didn't sound emotional. They sounded justified. People started demanding transparency, and the pressure on the WTA grew louder by the hour. When the WTA finally responded, the statement felt like ice water. Scheduling followed protocol. That was it: short, dismissive, and completely out of touch with the storm unfolding online. Fans dragged the statement instantly, calling it robotic and evasive. Journalists criticized the lack of empathy. Meanwhile, keen-eyed followers noticed something interesting. Several players were quietly liking posts that supported Alex. No words, no comments, just silent agreement from inside the locker room. And sometimes silence says everything.
Oh, get out of it. How has Maya Joint stayed in that point? Third time lucky.
Alex issued a written statement a few hours later, which immediately altered the attitude of the whole dialogue. "I'm defending my right to be treated like everybody else. Not any fury, none of the credit, just visibility." Fans quickly lined up behind her, appreciating her bravery and seeing her as more than just a rising celebrity, but as a symbol of justice in a system many have doubted for years. Her words were heard well outside the tennis court. She was advocating for equality, not for special treatment. Therefore, people believed her even more. Next came the type of punishment nobody formally admits. Alex was abruptly set to play on an underutilized outdoor court, away from the center stage. Her allotted time was reduced without justification. She found or lost media requests. The message to her staff was crystal clear. This was the price of speaking out. Still, Alex declined to bow. She just responded, "I'm not afraid of consequences," when asked whether she felt under pressure. And that silent resistance only reinforced the increasing sense that she was uncovering something greater, not just complaining. Just when things seemed to settle, an anonymous WTA official made it worse. In a leaked remark, they said, "Young players misinterpret situations due to inexperience." That single patronizing sentence ignited a firestorm. Fans called it gaslighting, dismissing her real experiences as childish misunderstandings. Even neutral observers found the tone insulting. Suddenly, the conversation wasn't about scheduling anymore. It was about respect. The WTA unintentionally amplified her message, proving exactly why younger athletes feel unheard. And once again, Alex didn't need to respond directly. The fans did it for her. At this point, the story was too big to ignore. Major news outlets picked it up, turning Alex's press room moment into a global talking point. Former players, some retired for years, began sharing stories of similar treatment, hinting that her experience was far from unique. Interviews, podcasts, columns. Everyone wanted to weigh in. Under mounting pressure, the WTA found itself backed into a corner, forced to defend a system more people now believed was flawed. What began as one emotional press conference had evolved into a full-blown industry conversation. And somewhere in the chaos, Alex began to understand the size of the movement forming around her. Crowds started following her matches more closely. Reporters hung on to every word she said. She wasn't just answering questions anymore. She was shaping a narrative. Her presence carried weight, her statements sparked debate, and her confidence inspired younger players dealing with similar struggles. Without intending to, she had become the face of a larger fight for fairness. And instead of shrinking from it, Alex carried it with the quiet strength that started this whole moment.
Oh my God.
Late at night, Alex lingered behind to softly strike quiet forehands to no one, while the courts were deserted and the lights murmured. That was when the weight fell on her. She remembered being 6 years old, dreaming just of trophies and sunshine rather than of politics and hardship. But rather than shattering her, this instant cleared something. Her honesty did not make her brittle, but rather unshakable. Speaking up finally matched her with the player she had always wanted to be. It did not derail her course. The noise surrounding her was deafening by the following day. endorsement conversations, reaction estimates, and continual viewpoints. Alex did not shrink, nevertheless. Losing sponsors or being misunderstood didn't bother her. Asked again if she regretted anything, she replied quietly, "I stand by what I said." While some adored her and others condemned her, respect was one thing all agreed on. She didn't soften, conceal, or retract her remarks. She had them, completely. As her statements kept circulating, a bigger conversation began to unfold. Did Alex accidentally ignite a movement? Did she expose something the tennis world quietly tolerated for years? Fans now demanded answers, not vague statements, but real accountability from the WTA. Comment sections, sports panels, podcasts, all asking the same thing. If a top rising player is feeling this, how many others stayed silent? Alex wasn't just telling her story anymore. She'd opened a door the sport couldn't close.
Kvara Gracheva, as we thought, really pushed her.
In the end, that press room became a turning point. She walked in as a rising star with a polite smile and rehearsed lines. She walked out carrying a message bigger than rankings, wins, or sponsorships. Overnight, she transformed into a symbol of truth and fairness. Someone unafraid to call out what others whispered about. And now the tennis world has no choice but to answer. Because Alex didn't just speak up, she changed the tone of the entire conversation. Alex Eala didn't start a fight, she exposed one. And now the whole tennis world is watching what the WTA does next. So what's your take on this? Drop it in the comments, and if this story grabbed you, hit like and subscribe. More coming your way.